Hey, I'm Jasmine Janae, and welcome to the first episode of my Note to Self series, where I'll be diving into the process, the inspiration, the journey behind my EP, Note to Self. If you watched my intro video on this channel, I mentioned there that I'm a singer, songwriter, all around creative, but this is a relatively new journey for me. And so I started this channel to document the process as I work my way into being a full-time artist. I talked a little bit about how I found myself on this particular path, but for this video, I want to just go a little deeper and double click on me and this corporate speak. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about this new beginning. In a lot of ways, this whole thing started off with a sticky note. I'm one of those people who has sticky notes all around the house, reminders, quotes, affirmations, you name it, it helps me, whatever. So a few years ago, I was feeling really stuck. I had the fancy degree, had this high paying job that was demanding, but pays well. And it felt like I was on this safe, stable career path that was more than likely going to just earn me more and more money, more and more prestige, more success, but in that very kind of rigid way we're taught to define it. Only problem is I was depressed, I was anxious, I was unmotivated, uninspired, just slogging through the days, Zoom call after Zoom call, Slack message after Slack message, and it just felt like this can't be my life. This is not what I am put on this earth to do. So when I had that realization that, hey, this is not where I'm supposed to be, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, all of a sudden that very safe and stable path was feeling more like a trap. But also around that same time, I had started getting back into some of my creative interests. I had started singing again. I was taking courses on songwriting and acting for theater and for film. And for the first time in a really long time, I felt that spark coming back. So I started dreaming up little projects just for fun, things I was writing, things that I was performing. Well, performing, me in the shower, me in the mirror, but performing nonetheless. Then it occurred to me, like, hold on, there are people who do this for a living. Like, there are people who get to do this as their full-time job. Why not me? So I started dreaming a little bigger and getting a little bolder and thinking about what it would feel like to pursue this creative work more fully. But then every time I actually tried to take that next step, like doing something more than just classes or actually putting my work out into the world, that's when all the fear and the doubt would start to creep back in. All those little voices saying, this will never work, or you're not even really that good, or this is not a real career path, just my brain coming up with all the reasons that this wouldn't work. But then, one day during a meditation, those words came to me. This work will provide, but you have to do the work. And I don't know where it came from, but I do know that it was not in the same voice as that fearful, doubtful little monologue that had been running before. This came from somewhere higher and it took root. And so I did what I do. I grabbed a sticky note, I wrote it down, and I put it on my mirror front and center where I could see it every single day. And it became this reminder, this affirmation almost, just to trust my intuition, trust myself, and know that all of this would unfold just as it was meant to. So that sticky note became the spark for Note to Self, both the song and the whole EP. And I remember writing that song was one of the first moments where I truly felt like I was starting a new chapter and entering this new timeline. So usually I do my songwriting either in the studio downstairs or in my living room, just like sitting on the floor. But for whatever reason, this particular night, I was writing in bed. And I remember sitting like actually just in the middle of the bed, and there are pillows all around. I've got notebooks, notebook paper, just everything's kind of a mess. But I could hear the chords and the melody just like on loop in my head. And this is before anything was written down, nothing was recorded. It was just sort of like me sitting there, just being open and just kind of receiving it almost. So I'm sitting there writing and the words just flowed. Like I don't even really know how to explain it. It's like it all just came to me, came through me, and I was just capturing it and getting it down on paper. And even the first line of that song, it's flipping pages, pen to paper, ripping phrases out my mind. Then it's thinking right, and wondering why the words come out so undefined. Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Like, I didn't know what the song was at that point. I didn't know what it was gonna be, but I could tell it was something. It was the start of something really, really important. So the next day, I put together a demo really fast to share with the producer who I was working with, and it all just sort of grew from there. And little did I know, but that night and the words that came out for that song became both the anchor for the EP, but also the launch pad for everything that was coming after. So yeah, writing and recording this EP was me taking that first step, setting aside the fear, setting aside the doubt, setting aside all the voices and all the reasons that our brains make up to tell us why we should not go for the thing we really, really, really want to go for. And I just felt really proud of myself in that moment. So fast forward, I start working on the EP like in earnest. Like by this point, I know exactly what the project is going to be. I know exactly what I want to say, and I'm ready to get it down. I'm ready to get it out there. And it took me, I think, about 2 years to complete, which seems like a long time for just 6 songs, but it takes the time that it takes, okay? Because it's new, and as with anything new, you can't expect it to be easy. You can't expect it to be this like clean, neat little process. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be a little hard. It's gonna be uncomfortable. You barely know what you're doing, so of course you're gonna fumble. Of course you're gonna stumble. Of course you're gonna make some mistakes. And if you're anything like me, there's lots of opportunity to overthink and talk yourself out of starting before you even begin. But here's the thing: every big change always starts with that one small step. Just one little seed of courage that says, hey, this scares me, but I really want to do it. And so I'm going to do it scared. For me, it was picking up the pen, writing those songs, recording my music, sharing it out with the world, and diving headfirst into more projects, more music, more art, more of the life that I wanted to create for myself, and trusting that the work would provide, as long as I did the work. Thank you for watching this first episode of my Note to Self series. And I'm curious, does anyone else have those sticky note moments, or the thing that you're too scared to start but you can't stop thinking about? I don't know, I'm curious. If you care to share, feel free to leave a comment, tell me what's going on. And if any of this resonates with you, I hope you'll stick around and come back for the next episode, where I'll be talking a little bit more about growth and some of the maybe not so easy moments that I had to push through during the course of this process. So here's the new beginnings. Until next time.